Hey there, and welcome to the second part of this greenhouse transformation project. This video will be all about the floor. We will pour a concrete slab into the building and lay a stone floor on top of it. And along the way, we will fix some drainage issues and remove a small foundation from the greenhouse. So let's start. The first thing to do is to prevent the greenhouse from flooding again during heavy rain events. When it rains a lot, runoff water from the vegetable garden gathers in front of the greenhouse and then flows into it, as it doesn't run fast enough into the meadow. To fix this, I'm going to install a drain right here and another 2 drains at each entrance of the greenhouse for additional safety. I dug a hole for the drain, and once it was big enough, I started to connect the first pipes. I had to remove some stuff at the entrance of the greenhouse to make space for the new pipes. Then I removed some of the pavement to install the second drain. I added more pipes and then mixed some concrete to install the drain. I can take off the grid to clean it. This pipe here sticks out so that the dirt that gets swept in with the water can't enter the pipes. Then I extended the pipe to the other entrance of the greenhouse, where I did the same thing. But first, I had to find the existing drainage pipe from the greenhouse foundation. I installed an attachment to be able to direct the water into this pipe. Then I could also finish the drain on this side of the greenhouse. With this job out of the way, the next step was to get rid of the foundation from the wooden post in the middle of the greenhouse. The new concrete slab will be easily capable of taking the forces from that post, and it will look much better without this block of concrete. I set up my laser and made a mark on the post so that I can always check if something moves. Then I put a support post in for it to take the forces of the roof. I slowly hammered at the thread of the post to push it against the beam. Once the existing wooden post was loose, I could take away the foundation. Then I dug down, as my plan was to reuse the existing foundation as a temporary foundation for the wooden post until the concrete slab is poured in. This temporary foundation will sit underneath the concrete slab. Getting this heavy block of concrete into position wasn't easy, but once I found some leverage, it was getting there. Then I extended the wooden post. I will connect the 2 pieces of wood a lot better in the future, but this is good for now. Once I fixed the post to the temporary foundation, I put the weight of the roof onto the wooden post again. The laser then showed me that nothing had moved. Then I could finally start working on the floor. I dug out all the remaining soil and filled it up with stones. A layer of foil followed, which will stop any moisture from the bottom to rise up to the concrete slab. Then I put down spacers that will keep the reinforcement off the ground, so that it doesn't corrode. And after that, I could finally bring in the reinforcement and fix it in place. A few days later, it was time for the concrete. For this step, I hired a local contractor to help me. As the concrete truck had no access to the greenhouse, we had to deliver the concrete with the wheelbarrow. The workers did a great job, and after an hour all the work was done. During the next 2 days, I watered the concrete regularly, as it needs this water to cure properly. Once the concrete was hard enough, I started with the preparation for the stone floor. The steps for that included to smooth over the existing foundation to make it less attractive for insects, wash all the stones and sorting them, preparing some filler stones and bringing the mortar into the greenhouse. And then, finally, I could start with the floor. I gathered all the tools, laid out some stones, and mixed the first bag of mortar. I quickly had to realize that mixing mortar indoor is a bad idea, so I continued doing that outside in my wheelbarrow. Then I started laying out the first tiles. Once the tiles were level and I was happy with the look, I applied the glue to the back of the tiles and hammered it into their place. As I am doing this type of work for the first time, it took me a bit to find my rhythm. But even with a good rhythm, this is slow work and nothing for the impatient. Mixing mortar, finding the right tile, getting it level, applying the glue, and then putting it back onto the mortar takes a lot of time and the progress is really slow. But it's also really satisfying if you find the perfect tile and then look at the beautiful floor that forms in front of you. And after about 20 hours, I arranged the last tiles and glued them in. A few days later, it was time to grout the floor. This is the last step of this floor project, and I was really looking forward to that. The first step was to water the stones so that they don't draw too much moisture from the mortar that gets filled in between the stones. Once I've mixed the first bag of mortar, I spread it on the floor and filled the gaps with it. And after that, as the very last step, it was time to wash the stones. After another 2 hours of work, the floor was finally done. This floor was by far the most work-intensive part of the whole project, but I'm very proud of how it turned out. And I'm already looking forward to the next steps of this project. If you liked this video, please consider giving it a like and subscribing to the channel. I'd very much appreciate it. Thanks for watching and see you in part 3 of this greenhouse transformation project.